and you have coworkers or employees that would like this information but couldn't be here today, it is being videotaped and a link will be put up on the internet to see all of this information. Without further ado.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Everybody hear me at the back?
Yes, sir.
Okay, there's quite a few speakers today, so I'm going to jump right in to the first presentation. That is going to be the KACH overview. So just to show of hands, who has not heard of the Defense Health Agency? And he's not telling the truth. Who has not heard that we are going to be moving under the Defense Health Agency? Everybody checking that? Okay, so just to kind of back up, back in December of 2016, Congress passed the fiscal year 17 National Defense Authorization Act. And that legislation directed all the military treatment facilities in the Army, Navy, and Air Force to be realigned under the Defense Health Agency. So since then, the Department of Defense has gone back to Congress and said, hey, this is too aggressive of a timeline. We're going to need more time to get organized, and we're going to need time to actually get the structures in place so that we can manage all these military treatment facilities. Okay, so that kind of brings us to today, where they passed the fiscal year 19 National Defense Authorization Act, and it extended the timeline for the migration of all the military treatment facilities to 1 October 2021. So 3 years to get all the treatment facilities moved over under the Defense Health Agency. So you can see the migration plan is broken off in 4 phases. The first phase was actually ended on 1 October of this year, and that is when WOMAC, Army Medical Center, Fort Bragg, they were actually the first MTF to move over for the Army. Now you'll notice up there that you see Walter Reed and Fort Belvoir. They were actually already part of DHA because they were part of the National Capital Region when the DHA stood up back in 2013. So WOMAC is the first MTF to move over. They just moved over on 1 October. And you can see there's other treatment facilities in the Air Force and the Navy as well that moved over. Okay, phase 2 ends no later than 1 October 2019. And that's going to be all the military treatment facilities in the East Trow region. So which MTF do you think is part of the East Trow region? Ours, okay? So as far as Keller is concerned, we're going to be moving over to DHA by the end of this fiscal year. Phase 3 is no later than 1 October 2020. And that's all the MTFs in the West Trow region. And then finally, no later than 1 October 2021, all the military treatment facilities, OCONUS, so you're looking in the Pacific, Tripler, you're looking Europe, Launchul, Bavaria Medac, all those clinics out there, and then of course, Alaska. Any questions about the migration of the MTFs? Okay, so what happens when DHA takes over? Well, MedCom is kind of being revamped. So the MedCom that we're used to working under, that structure is going away. The Surgeon General has to report back to Congress in the spring to provide a recommendation on what MedCom needs to look at in terms of being a readiness entity that's more of a staff role and advisory role to the Secretary of the Army and to DHA. You can see the list of authorities that Congress has given to DHA up on the board. The bottom line is they're going to have total control over Keller. So everything from managing the budget, those resources will be under DHA control. And I wanted to highlight up there, determining the scope of medical care provided at each MTF. Why do you think that's important to us?
Because certain clinics can get closed.
Okay, certain clinics can get closed. Right, so it's important because as we're looking at our clinical practices, as we're looking at our productivity numbers, it's important that we become as cost effective as possible. And the reason is because once DHA takes over, they're going to be doing an assessment of all the treatment facilities, because what is the purpose of DHA? Why were they stood up? To save money. So for us, that means we need to really closely look at our business practices, monitor our workload, our productivity targets, and make sure that we're being as efficient as possible so that when DHA comes down and starts looking at the services that we provide, that we don't put those services at risk. Does that make sense? Now, I'll tell you at the tactical level, for the day-to-day operations of the hospital, you're not going to see much change. I will tell you, I talked to the commander over at Womack a couple of weeks ago, and he said that, hey, business is business as usual. You know, continue to take care of patients, continue to take care of the community, and that's what we're going to continue to do here. Any questions about the DHA transition that's coming our way? Okay. So next topic is command climate survey. So I have a lot of data in here. I'm going to go through it fairly quickly. If you have any questions at all, please stop me. So the command climate survey was open 3 September to 5 October. And you can see from the slide that we had 124 personnel participate in the survey. And so the survey was open to our GS civilians as well as our military. It was not open to our Red Cross volunteers or our contractors. So overall, we had 26% of personnel actually participated in the survey. And you can see the demographic information up there. Bottom line is we had 31 military complete the survey, and we had 93 civilians. Any questions about this slide? So the first section that we're going to look at is the unit summary section. So in the unit summary section, they're looking at 16 different climate factors. And then for each climate factor, they're comparing Keller against like units. So in our case, this would be other hospitals, other MTFs. And then it also compares us against the Army average. And you can see down at the color coding at the bottom, you'll see a different color, color for each percentage that we have for each of the climate factors. So if we're in the green, that means we're doing really, really, really well. So, you know, above 90% favorable responses. If we're in the blue, we're doing pretty well, between 70 and 89% favorable responses for that climate factor. Yellow, probably an area to improve. Between 50 and 69 favorable response rate, or excuse me, favorable responses. And then if there's an area in the red, which we do not have any climate factors in the red, that means that there's significant issues and there's most likely a problem in the organization for that climate factor. So these are the first 3 climate factors: commitment, senior leadership, and organizational performance. You can see we were in the blue for commitment and organizational performance, but we were slightly below the Army average for senior leadership. And so I put underneath senior leadership the questions that tied back to this climate factor. So you can see the questions was, does the unit senior leader share info, listen to employees' concerns, set priorities, and provide a clear vision of the future for the organization? So you can see that that is one area that we need to work on. Or I should say, I need to work on. Okay, the next 5 factors are group cohesion, trust in leadership, and job satisfaction. And I'll just highlight the one in yellow, group cohesion. And this looked at how well employees work together in their sections. Any questions about this slide? Okay. Next is organizational processes, engagement, and inclusion at work. And you can see the one at the bottom, inclusion at work, 64%, slightly below the Army average. But the one at the top, I thought that was interesting, organizational processes. So this is clearly an area that we need to take a look at. So I listed out the questions that tie back to this climate factor, and you can see the questions were, are programs in place to address employees' concerns? Is discipline administered fairly? And are decisions made using relevant information? So what do you think? Surprised? No? Okay. So definitely an area that we need to look at. Next is discrimination, sexual harassment, and sexual assault prevention climate. You can see for discrimination, we're just below the Army average. What do you think? Is this an area that we need to look at? Okay. All right, the next 3 climate factors are sexual assault reporting knowledge, response climate, and retaliation climate. So you can see for the top one for reporting knowledge, even though we are in the yellow, we're actually above the Army average as well as above the average of comparable units. What about that bottom line? You think that's an issue in the organization?
Yes.
Okay. All right, it's definitely something that we need to look at. And then the last one was sexual harassment retaliation climate. You can see we were under the Army average, however, we did get just into the blue for that category. Any questions about the climate factors? Okay. Next, we're going to move into the local questions. The top one is, I'm providing the resources I need to do my job effectively. So we had 64.5% agree or strongly agree for that question. Any comments on that one? Okay, the next is communication flow from the chain of command is good. We had 55.6% agree or strongly agree. Do you think communication is problematic in Keller?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. Number 3, rules, regulations, and policies are enforced in this command. We had 65.3% agree or strongly agree for number 3. Okay, question number 4. Make an honest mistake on the job. Members of this command are corrected fairly. So 58.8% agreed or strongly agreed. Number 5, my work environment is free from unprofessional behavior. 59.7% agreed or strongly agreed. What do you think about that one? Seems like a pretty high percentage that disagree or strongly disagree. Think it's an issue of concern? Good. Okay. Number 6, I trust management leadership to handle complaints, problems, or issues seriously. So 60.5% agreed or strongly agreed. And once again, if you look at how many percentage of strongly disagree or disagree, it's a fairly high percentage. Okay, question number 7, the commander is accessible. So 63.7% agreed or strongly agreed. Number 8, civilians are treated as valued members of the unit by leadership. So fairly high percentage, 67.8% agreed. Number 9, I'm treated with dignity, respect in this command. 67.7% agreed or strongly agreed. Any questions or comments about these questions or statements? Okay. And then the last level question was, the current level of morale is high. See any problems with this? Okay, so it's definitely an area that we need to take a look at, and again, we're going to do a better job. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. The final 5 slides are the short answer questions. So question number 1 was, how effective is communication with this unit? So when I looked at all the comments, there were 17 positive comments and 27 negative comments. So communication, I think we talked about this a few minutes ago. Problem? Communication, do you think it's a challenge?
Yes.
Okay. So these are some of the comments on how to improve. And I pulled these right out of the survey. But these are definitely things that we need to expand upon during civilian forum or during sensitive sessions, which we have on the calendar coming up in December. Any comments on this question? A short answer? Okay, question number 2. How much do you trust senior leadership in the unit? So 27 positive comments and 14 negative comments. And I found it interesting on comments on how to improve, being more transparent, and then improving communication. So a lot of this seems like it keeps going back to communication. And then the last one was value what civilians bring to the table. Okay, question number 3. How satisfied are you with the unit's mentorship program? I know there was a lot of confusion over this question. A lot of folks weren't really familiar with the mentorship program or what that was. What we were trying to get at was really about professional development. Our military, our civilian employees, are they getting mentored? Are they getting professional development opportunities where they feel valued and they have an opportunity to improve and pursue the next level in their career if they choose to do so? That was really what we were trying to get after. So some of the comments on how to improve. One person indicated that we needed some type of formal program, which we can certainly consider putting something like that together. Leadership professional development topics need to be more useful. We're trying to get after that. We're trying to make sure that we've got topics that are value-added for the organization. And then that bottom one is one that really stuck out for me was civilians need better professional development and training opportunities. And so I will tell you that we're going to get after that one. Question number 4, what is Keller's most significant challenge? So I sort of pulled out different themes from the responses, and you can see the number of responses that were associated with that category are kind of lumped at the top. So 10 people thought that staffing shortages was our biggest challenge. Others thought that remaining as a hospital was our biggest challenge. And then you can go on down and see accountability, morale, lack of staff commitment, and then kind of the foundation, that communication one that we talked about. Any questions on this slide? Okay, and then the last question was, what 3 changes would improve the unit's climate? And once again, right at the top was improving communication. Other areas were making sure that we're recognizing our employees, increasing training opportunities, which we discussed on the previous slide, holding folks accountable, and of course, fair and equal treatment of all employees. Any questions, comments on this slide? Okay, so this is sort of the way ahead. Obviously, communication seems to be the foundation that we need to build on as far as improving the climate in the organization. And so I hosted my first civilian forum on 16 October. Feedback was very positive from that. We also had our strategic offsite the last couple of weeks. So we actually addressed a lot of the issues, concerns that came out of the Command Climate Survey. Professional development for employees was a big one. And so right now we are sort of revising, refining our balanced scorecard. And so at the next town hall, I will be sure to post that and talk a little bit about it. But a balanced scorecard is essentially looking at our mission, vision, strategic objectives, and then the key metrics that we need to track to get us to where we believe we need to go. As far as upcoming events, I recognize that folks at 606, it's very difficult and challenging for them to get over to the hospital. So I'm actually going to come to you guys. So I'm going to host a civilian forum on 10 December at 1500 over at 606. And then I've got a second session set up with the junior enlisted soldiers, 13 December, the NCOs on 20 December, and we're working on a date to meet with the officers. And so based on the feedback we get from those meetings, we'll come up with a strategy to get after all the issues that were identified in the Command Climate Survey. Any questions? Comments? All right, this time I'll turn it over to Mr. Gill.
Okay, everybody knows the ARAP surveys. We've done them every command comes through here. It's the Army Readiness Assessment Program. 90 days after the new commander comes in, we do one, and then halfway through his tour of duty, we do another one. And this is some of the questions that we came up with. The two that are highlighted in yellow are two that were not listed in 2017. When the last command was here, we did one halfway through his tour. And the question 13, 16, and 1 were same questions in 2017 when we had the last command group through here. Your ones were the 22 and 11 were separate from the 2017. Individuals might are willing to report safety violations. But it says the top score on these things. These are the questions that we as an organization or you as individuals are exceeding in. You are beating the Army's average on this. This is the total force of reserves, the National Guard, and the active Army. Okay? So this is the top end of the questions here. Anybody got any questions on this here? And the bottom of it. There was only one different question from the 2017 survey to the 2018 survey with the new command group coming in. Mandatory downtime standards are enforced in my unit. We're looking at the downtime, and we think a lot of it is because of the tasking and the manning that we have. We don't have a lot of folks to do a lot of the additional taskings out there, and we overload a lot of our folks. You'll see communication is another one in here. It's question number 55. That one comes up all the time. We are in line with the total force here, with the whole Army force. We have not exceeded, we're not below. We are on the average with the Army. So the big Army is saying the same thing that we are saying here. We are being tasked too much, our communication is a problem, we don't have enough resources. That's throughout the whole Army, Reserves, and Guard. Anybody got any questions on this one? Want to do another one? Want to do another survey? The RAP. About another year and a half, we'll do another one. So we'll compare them then with this one here. Okay. Next one is Greenpeace people.
Good afternoon, everyone. Who in here recycles? Who in here buys local? Okay. Who's heard the word green? Okay, and sustainable. Yeah, so we, Kathy Robbins, Bevan Sarah Schubert, and Mr. J.C. Santini, want everyone to raise their hands in here to join our Practice Green Health unit. There we go. So Practice Green Health is a MedCom initiative in order to make our hospitals more sustainable and really saving resources for future generations. As you guys can see up there, the mission is really to become world-class healthcare solutions with minimal environmental impact and support those who depend and serve our country. Some really cool opportunities that we have are really highlighted up here with the cost savings from other hospitals throughout MedCom. My favorite example is down at Ireland Army Community Hospital. They instituted a no junk mail policy, so everyone who was getting medical journals or vendor catalogs actually contacted those journal companies, contacted the vendors, and said, please only send me electronic copies of them. They were able to reduce their waste by over 700 pounds per month, which was a cost savings of, I think, over $100,000 a year.
Right, there's municipal solid waste we by the pound. So every pound of waste we save, it's all goes back to our body.
Absolutely. And so there's a couple other examples that JC is actually going to go through that we as a hospital can implement here, and that we've already started to implement.
Right. So I took a look at our 2017 application for Practice Green Health. We did pretty well. We actually won a partner for, not the Partner for Change award, but a little lesser award. Our goal is for the Partner for Change award for 2018. So one of the things we're trying to do is a fragrance-free hospital policy, where people are being encouraged not to wear heavy perfumes or spray aerosols that contain hydrocarbons, since they can trigger people's allergies, lead to other sort of respiratory ailments. We're in a sub-unit of parking lot lights. So we get a point to have a sub-unit. We get a second point to meter parking lot. We're going to take a look at how much our parking lot lights are using and possibly revamp this. Helping your food sustainable choices. That's something we've got wrong with what we're seeing.
We're looking at bringing in less meat, healthier meat, And then healthier and more local food options, since a lot of you guys already purchased those sooner.
And we've enrolled in 2 healthier hospital initiatives in the food category. They have our application for 2018. Polycenter home innovation in that area as well.
So we're looking at bringing in reusable mugs. So you all can come in with that reusable hot mug and get coffee or hot tea. It has a nice little Keller logo on it, so that we use a little less styrofoam in that facility.
So I don't know if you guys know, the whole construction projects we do are LEEDs are like silver minimum. And the LEEDs project we did, we just converted air handling 6 that serves both operating rooms into a return area. So instead of projecting all the nice cool or warm air that we're putting into the operating rooms, we're recirculating the majority of that air. And that leads to huge cost savings over time during the winter and summer months especially. Main cleaning supplies, once again, that goes to POCs and possible failures respiratory. And I think we get sustainability leader in the OR to help review our packings and different, a lot of ways to generate the OR. So please do.
So this brings us back to, right now, the 3 of us and a couple other team members are the sustainability or the practice green health team for the hospital. And we really need someone, at least one person from each section, to come to us with ideas or implementing bed counts ideas that are already in place. So our next meeting is Thursday next week from 10 to 11 in the dining facility. We treat it as almost like a little coffee break and come in and we talk about ideas and how we can implement some of these bed count policies. So please join us. All right, there's back to Walter. So I get to talk about something such as holidays and snow. All right. Okay, so let's start by talking about the holiday schedule. Everybody ready for their holiday parties, 14 December? Yes. What's the best place? Because I want to make sure I have the invite so I can go. It should be starting at 1100 hours is when we are clear to start beginning the holiday parties. Now, the holiday schedule, that period is identified as 21 December going through 1st of January. That means that we are not doing day on, day off, but we are allowing military half-day schedules. However, we still have to keep our organization up and running. As the commander previously mentioned, we need to make sure we're walking into our new DHA environment with our best foot forward, okay? So, and if you have any questions or if you have any concerns, just reference back to the policies. Right. What we want to make sure that we're doing is while we're allowing liberal leave for our staff members and we're allowing them to exercise the half-day schedule, that we are still maintaining operations. Okay. Now let's talk about snow. I think our first code red actually went pretty well. It could have been a whole lot worse. I know a lot of folks ended up stuck in the snow. I think the worst case scenario I heard was someone stuck on 293 until 12:30 the next morning. So it's very unfortunate. But I think, or I felt that the feedback that we got from the installation as far as the code red through the different forums they provide us, such as Facebook, there are websites that you can go to, there's a telephone number that you can call, that they were able to get the information out to us. So is everybody here pretty familiar with how you find out about code red, code whites? Yes? All right. Please make sure that you're paying attention to those, because that's how you're going to really know what the current status is. Now, the big question that we end up with is, what does that mean for our clinics, right? What does that mean for our departments? Code red is probably the most confusing because we want to make sure that not only our staff but our patients understand what that means. So our outpatient clinics, in the event of a code red, are going to be canceling patient care. Right? We recognize that some patients still may come in and we still want to take care of those folks who do come. But plan for code red that we are not running the outpatient clinics. Now, that does not mean that we are going to stop surgical services. Our OR suites and the surgeries are still going to be going on. We had a small change to how we process in the past. So if we have patients who end up calling, there are messages that we can direct them to the appointment line that will provide them guidance as far as we are closed. But if somebody is trying to call and wants to find out what's the status of my surgery that I'm supposed to be having, make sure that we're directing them to call the AOB.
The AOD is going to get in touch with that person's provider, and that provider is going to be able to confirm what they need to know and what they need to do. Okay? All right, now for the rest of the staff, the folks who are non-weather essential. Who here is weather essential? Okay, if you're wearing this uniform, you are weather essential. If you're a civilian, you know that you've been identified as weather essential, you know you need to come in. Or at least you can make good faith efforts. But if you are non-weather essential, the code red confuses a few folks. And I want to make sure that everybody knows where they need to go as far as guidance for what our policy states for leave. Okay, so make sure that you reference the adverse weather policy. We have that one on here? No. It is policy number 11. And that tells you everything you need to know. But I'm going to summarize for you, okay? Because really everything, it depends. We've got a situation where you have a delayed arrival. If we have delayed arrival, then the intent is that you arrive by the time the delay is stated. Now, if you were on leave on that day, you are going to get your, sorry, to make sure I say this right, I'm going to read it for you. Non-weather essential employees on pre-approved leave for the entire workday, or employees who are granted unscheduled leave for the entire workday should be granted excused absence for the duration of the code red. That is the late arrival. Okay, so I'm reading exactly what it's telling you. Early dismissal, slightly different. Employees on pre-approved leave for the entire workday, or employees who requested unscheduled leave before an early departure code red is announced should continue to be charged personal leave for the entire day or the remainder of the workday as applicable. Code red all day. Non-weather essential employees with pre-approved leave or who are granted unscheduled leave for the entire workday will not be charged leave. They will also be granted excused absence. All right? So if you have any questions or concerns, make sure that you bring them up to your supervisor. Your supervisor can reach out to HR can clarify. Because again, a lot of times it depends. All right? If there are any questions, then I'm going to hand this off. No questions? Great. Oh, never got my people building chart. So if you would like a copy of this, you can always reach out to PTM and ask. PTM does have a copy of these slides. All right, calendars.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. So just wanted to touch on a couple different things that are coming up in these next couple months. Some events, things that you can participate in. We've already touched on the holidays that are upcoming and the schedule with that. One big thing we have going on for all the military right now, we have the range. Tomorrow is the last day of that. It will be M4, and one thing to note is it will be going until 12:30. Due to a change in ammo turn-in, we'll have to cut a couple hours at the end, so make sure you get out there right away, because it'll go till 12:30 tomorrow. We also have the holiday ball coming up this weekend. Got a lot of people going? Yes? Hope to see you all there. There's also the West Point Holiday Show. It's coming up on the 1st and 2nd. Another nice venue to go for you, your families. There's also the Candles and Messiah concert at the Cadet Chapel coming up. And then the holiday tree lighting ceremony. Initially it was going to be at the Plain, so if you haven't seen the change, it's over at the PX. It's also in conjunction with the grand reopening of the PX based on their remodel. So that's coming up on the 3rd. We're also, with Keller, we're going to have a visit to the Montrose Veterans Center. So for anyone who would like to attend that, please let me know. There's still some spots available if you'd like to go there on the 7th. Again, we also have Army-Navy football game coming up, so that is in the near future. So then we will meet Navy again. The holiday meal and the DFAC as well on the 10th. So invite all of you to participate in that. And that will be from 11 to 13:30. And then one thing I wanted to do is bring up Captain Schubert. One thing to note here on So, on 11 January, we have the CFC deadline coming up. So, Captain Schubert's our POC, so I just wanted to turn it over to her a little bit to talk about that.
Very impromptu brief, guys. No slides for you. So the Combined Federal Campaign, we do this every year. It's the entire DoD that does this one. And this year it's all online. So if you've donated in the past where you had to fill out a little paper slip and somebody came around and handed it to you and we didn't you to fill it out, and like, you feel really nervous and guilty about how much money you were giving. So kind of took that part away. So you can go online, and in fact it's linked on the intranet right now. It's even got the little CSC logo, so it kind of stands out on the announcement page. But it gives you all the instructions how to do it. It does make you create a profile, which is a little bit annoying when you have username and password and nonsense, right? But once you create it, it walks you through the steps, and you're able to donate to any organization. There's like hundreds and hundreds of organizations that you can actually search for specifically what you want to give to, and if you don't know, it'll tell you a little bit about the organization. But the deadline for this, the cutoff date is 11 January, so it's been going on for a month or two already. West Point, the entire military reservation, has a goal of, I think it's $100,000 as the entire installation. And last year we donated about over $93,000, I think. So hopefully Keller will contribute and help reach that goal. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm sure I know most of you. If not, Captain Schubert, find me on the second floor. To like the bathroom type of your office, but come find me. I actually have a CFC poster on my door. I'll be happy to answer any questions or help walk through the process. Thanks.
Any questions on any of these events upcoming? All right. I will turn it to
Sorry, if you got any comments?
Yeah, I got you. First and foremost, this is the season where we do see a spike in accidents and injuries. So if you're out there hanging Christmas lights, or you got the old-fashioned Christmas bulbs that burn the carpet when they're sitting down in the rug, or you got 1,500 plugs plugged into one outlet, please be self-aware of what it is that you're doing. And if you need assistance or you need help, please, there's people that can help you. So please be safe this holiday season. And the second thing is look to your left and right. Look out for your battle buddies. Sometimes this can be a tough season for individuals, and if we're not taking care of our own, then we're not doing what we need to do. So please, if you see somebody that might be down, might be moping around, please just ask them how they're doing. Offer them to sit down and have a cup of coffee. But please look out for our coworkers, your family members, your friends, and lend that ear to talk and do it through the season. Okay.
So this time I'll open up the floor for questions. None? Yes, ma'am.
How many people in here finished their Teen Steps Perceptions questionnaire? Okay, I need to see more hands. We got one more day.
All right, anybody else have any comments, questions? All right, hey, thanks for all you do. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you all tomorrow.